All right. Welcome to the Into the Wild podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It is an ESPN 1000 icon, one of the many faces of ESPN 1000, if not the face. We have Adam Abdalla here joining us from the Black and Abdalla show. Welcome on to the show,
Thank you
Adam.
guys. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate that intro. Not at all true, but thank you.
Well, we've been listening to you for quite some time now, just on the radio, and big fans. So it's amazing to have you on. We're going to
Thank
talk
you.
about the Bears. We're going to talk about college football. Adam's a diehard Alabama fan, and there's going to be so much to talk about. So let's just jump right in with the Bears. So the Bears are coming off of the big surprise, which was a good surprise because they performed so well. The first team offense did, and the entire team, because they shut out the Buffalo Bills 38-0. Is there anything you can kind of take away from that game that you can actually hold on to?
Yeah, they're gonna win the division and they're gonna, make a run to the NFC Championship game. And no, I think what you can take away from it is that the process is working, right? Like the bet for everything that we've heard practice about how like this roller coaster of Caleb will have a good game, a good day of practice, and then a bad day, and then like 2 good days, and then another bad day. Like he finally had like 4 to 5 days in a row that were good, and then he had the preseason game that was good. And like they're talking about how they were just using like an old game plan that Ben Johnson had from like years ago. And, they didn't even show anything real. And I think what it shows is that the process of giving him everything at once and then starting to scale it back and see what he can handle is working. And also that they finally played a clean operation, right? Getting the play in, getting to the huddle, getting to the line and executing the play when there's still like 10, 11 seconds left on the play clock. Like how many times last year were was the offense like standing there with 3, 2, and then they finally run the play, or an offensive lineman jumps and you've got a pre-snap penalty, and like then you're at 1st and 15 or you're at 2nd and 13 and then you're behind the 8 ball, right? I think that what was big for them is that they had one error, one pre-snap penalty, but in the past you might as well punt the ball at that point. Like they actually overcame it and were able to go down the field, score a touchdown. And then I think you saw too that even in his misses, like the plays were working, right? They were separation. They were moving the ball down the field. It made sense, like to have, the way they were taking advantage of linebacker matchups and all this kind of stuff. So I think that even in a short, whatever it was, 14, 15 plays, I think he had 7 throws out of the pocket. Like they all looked good and it made sense. And like if that's the floor, like it's gonna be good. Like I'm not worried about the offense. Whereas, I'm not overreacting because they did play against backups. You did your job. Like you're supposed to come out and beat up on backups. Like the fact that they went down and scored, it's like, okay, you did your job. But it wasn't just like, okay, we're gonna, pick random on Madden, and then because it felt like that what Shane Waldron was doing all year or while he was there, and none of the plays kind of flowed or made sense. Whereas now they seem to have like, okay, we called this and then there was a reason we did this, and then we saw a mismatch here, so we took advantage of it here, and there was a flow to it. So if he would have come out and thrown an interception, or they would have, gone 3 and out 3 times, and that would have been his day, we would be overreacting. We'd be like, what the hell what is this? Like, this is not working. They're not ready. So because they actually had like a clean game and it looked good and they were successful on a drive and moved the ball down the field on the second drive a little bit, like I'm not worried about the offense the way I think people were starting to worry like a week ago.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see more consistency from Caleb, despite it being up and down. Obviously, like progression in the NFL isn't linear, as we all know. It might be up and down all season. But then, like, what are you afraid of mostly in the season? What's something that you're like, oh, this might come to bite us in the behind later on?
I think the sacks from last year, right? Like he got sacked 68 times, and I would say more than half of them were his fault and not the offensive line's fault,
Yeah.
because he was holding the
Yeah.
ball for way too long. Like I don't want him to
Yeah.
regress when you're seeing like Monday night, you're playing the best defense in the NFL. Like we've seen what Brian Flores can do. We've seen what he's done to the Bears in the past. Like they had success against him in a game last year, and Ben Johnson has had success against Brian Flores in the past, but that was with the Lions, not with the team that he just took over. So I think that I'm worried about the regression and him kind of falling back into what he's used to with at USC and Oklahoma, where he could just stand back there for 10 seconds and then someone eventually would get open because they're just better athletes than the teams that they were playing. And then what he did last year too, where he was just standing there or just running around instead of just throwing the ball away. I want him to get into a place where we saw Aaron Rodgers a few years ago and where we saw Tom Brady, when he was with the Patriots and with the Bucks, where it's like, if it's not there, just throw it away. It's not the end of the world. Like you get the ball right back. Just, you can go down the field again. And then also I'm concerned about, I think they've pretty much solidified left tackle with Braxton Jones, but offensive line, like you can say that they're going to be great and they brought in an all pro and that they've got Braxton Jones there and they've got Darnell Wright. But I could say to you, okay, Braxton Jones, they had a guy who was a rookie who almost took his job. Darnell Wright got called out by the coaching staff for not being in shape and essentially, dogging it on the field during a game and not during practice. It was actually during a preseason game. Jonah Jackson couldn't get his spot back because when he was injured, the guy that took his spot was better. So the Rams were like, take him. I don't care. Drew Dahlman happened to be the guy who was available. So you signed him because you had no other choice. And Joe Tooney's 32 years old. He's old. Like at any point that could fall. So like you can say, okay, this is a great offensive line now, but it could not be very fast. Like they got they were injured last year. Braxton Jones didn't last the season. Darnell Wright played hurt for a while. So I think it's offensive line. And then I think it's also Caleb kind of reverting when the situation gets dire and he's trying to play hero ball again if they're losing in games.
So that being said, do you feel like Ryan Poles has done enough to support Caleb Williams this upcoming season? I mean, I know the pieces aren't perfect. I know that we have a lot of receivers and, not the running backs that we, anticipate that we would have. Do you think that if this season was a failure, it's an indictment on Ryan Poles or it's an indictment on Caleb Williams?
I think that it's a little bit of both, right? I think that they've done everything weapons-wise to give him the best talent they could. I mean, you've got two number one wide receivers, essentially, and DJ Moore. And I think Roma Dunze will end up being the number one wide receiver. That connection's been solid in camp. It was solid in camp last year and in practice, and they just couldn't translate it. I think you're seeing now it's getting there, right? You went out and you got the best tight end in the draft. And everybody, from what they're saying, say he looks like a top 10 pick. Like Colston Loveland is going to be a difference maker.
Oh, absolutely.
Cole Kmet, you're giving Cole Kmet, what, $13 million a year? Like he better be good, right? You went out and just like I said, you went and you got an all pro on your offensive line at the guard position. You went and spent top dollar for a center. You went and traded for a guard. You replaced 3 out of 5 offensive linemen. And I would say like your running game's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with Swift. He's okay. And I think they really like Monangai. I think he's going to be a decent running back. I mean, he led the Big Ten in rushing. I mean, he can't be horrible, right? So I would say that, and the other part of it is like not even on the field. You went out and the Bears did something they've never, like the only time the Bears have lost a coach mid-season was because of war. Like literally Hallis had to leave to go serve in a war. Other than that, they've kept head coaches for the entire season. So you went out and you did something like they should have just hired, another dude, a nobody, to be the head coach, which is something they would have normally done. But no, you went out and you spent $15 million a year to get Ben Johnson, and you brought in who you want to pay for Dennis Allen. All right, we're paying for Dennis Allen. You want to bring all these guys over that are going to cost money? Like, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a failure. And even if it's like, I don't know what failure would necessarily mean. I mean, 5 wins, 6 wins is obviously failure. Like, I can't really assign like stats to it. I guess a completion percentage of under like 67 or 66, something like that would kind of be a failure. But I think it's kind of twofold where like, look, you drafted a right tackle to replace the right tackle you just drafted. Like, what are we doing with Ozzie Trapillo now? Like, what are you doing with Braxton Jones? Like, you drafted a tight end. You just paid a tight end $13 million a year. Like, what are we? Okay. So I can say it's Ryan Poles, but they've done everything they can to make this work. That if it doesn't, like if it's a complete failure and he gets sacked another 50 times, it's going to be on him. Like it's going to be on Caleb. It's not going to be on Ryan Poles.
Right.
Adam, as a Lions fan, obviously we've had like years and years of failures, and what
Oh, you're
really
going
turned it
through it,
around.
aren't you?
Yeah, we were. I mean, we were.
No, I
Don't
mean,
get me
no,
wrong,
no.
but when we had turned it around, it was kind of a slow burn, right? Where we're bringing guys in. It's a lot of draft capital. I think there was a lot of moving pieces from a coaching standpoint too, till they got it right. It
Mhm.
seems that Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles have just said, okay, we believe with what we have in the building. Now let's make sure that we're plugging the holes here. Is this a long-term play for them, or is this a short-term play?
I think it's both, right? Like you hope that when you add Ben Johnson, you hope that that's your McVay. You hope that that's your Shanahan. Like this is a guy that you want to be the next, the longevity of a Mike Tomlin. Like you want Ben Johnson to be he's young enough where like this should be if this works, this should be your 20-year coach. Like this should be you shouldn't be turning over guys every 4 or 5 years. Like this cycle has to stop. And I think that they finally I think he's gonna be the guy. Like I do believe in Ben Johnson that even if Caleb doesn't work out, and I think he's going to, even if they're drafting another quarterback in 4 years, I they have the right coach to get whatever they can out of that quarterback. Like Ben Johnson, everything that you see at camp, the way he runs his practices, the way he handles the media, the way he has an answer for everything, he's ready for this. Like he didn't take I don't necessarily believe that he went back because he wanted to go back last year. I think he went back because this job wasn't available and he wanted to go to a franchise where he wasn't going to be just turned like he wasn't going to go to the Jags because the Jags fire coaches in 2 weeks, Like, I don't think he was going to try to go to a rebuild where he fully had to start from scratch. Whereas the Bears kind of came in and they were 60% of the way there. And teams go from worst to first all the time. I'm not saying the Bears are going to win the division, but they could definitely be a playoff team. I mean, I'll talk about your Lions right now. Look at what the Eagles a few years ago. They lost both their coordinators. They lost a couple linemen. They ended up making the playoffs. They lost in the first round. They had to fire a defensive coordinator halfway through the season, right? So the Lions are in a space. They're also hearing that the Lions are trying to put in a new offense that might not necessarily work for Jared Goff. So we'll see. The Vikings are starting a rookie quarterback. They're not going to have, at least for the first game, they're not going to have one of their wide receivers out there. And Ben Johnson has a decent history against Brian Flores defenses. So you probably get the Vikings at a good time. You might be getting the Lions at a good time in their first year. The Packers, last I checked, the Bears are 1-0 in their last one against the Packers. I think Jordan Love's kind of mid. Like, I don't think he's that great. I think he's just kind of a guy. And so I'm not saying that the Bears are going to win the division, but you're not going to have a team. You're not going to have 3 teams that have double-digit wins again. Like I think a few of those teams are going to regress. Now, do the Lions regress back to 11 wins? Sure. Do the Packers regress to 9 wins? Okay. And the Vikings might regress back to 7 or 8 wins if McCarthy is not the guy. So I think that there's an opportunity for the Bears to compete instantly, but I also think that Kevin Warren coming in isn't getting enough credit because we always just kind of shit on him for the stadium stuff. Whereas like you wouldn't get Ben Johnson if Kevin Warren wasn't there. Like they were flying coaching candidates in on coach, like at the back of the plane before Kevin Warren came in. And they're like, no, we're sending a plane for these guys. Like they're not flying commercial. Like, what are we doing? So Kevin Warren has brought up the standard of the franchise to be like, you guys are a multi-billion dollar organization. Like we're spending money the way you have to. This is a long-term play with Ben Johnson, but it's also, I don't think he would have taken the job if this was going to take him 4 or 5 years to kind of like fix and everything. Like if there wasn't a quarterback that he didn't think he could win with, I don't think he's taking this job.
No, I agree with that. I think it was surprising for me because I thought the Chargers were that team that you would have like thought about the Bears were last year. A young quarterback who's like a lot of skill, somewhat complete team. And when he said no to going to the Chargers, or well, he didn't say no, but he didn't go in that direction and he came back.
Mm-hmm.
It really did feel like Ben Johnson wanted to be married to that GM or that organization in which, hey, we're in lockstep. We have that patience. We have the ability to develop. My only thing is he came in and then there's a lot of these like brash moves. Like, yeah, you draft another backup right tackle. You got a tight end when you already have one. You go out and you get another wide receiver when you have a loaded receiver room, right? And then you're plugging holes on the offensive line. So to me, it just felt like, okay, this is kind of the opposite of the narrative that they had on Ben Johnson beforehand. And I don't know if that was just a Ben Johnson decision or if that's like Ryan Poles saying, hey, I know that the patience is wearing thin. I just got to get that hope up over here in Chicago to make sure that these fans are behind us. Even if it doesn't work, we'll cut ties. We'll go forward with, whatever it needs to be, extra draft capital. We'll ship some players off. I feel like that's what I kind of got from that, from all the actions in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't think the Chargers job was ever his. I mean, Harbaugh was telling people before the season started that he was going to go coach Herbert. Like, there was one quarterback he was going to go back to the NFL for, and it was Herbert, and that was it. Like, there was no, like, people have told that story before that, like, he knew before the season started, he's like, I'm out. Like, there's no, like, this is it. Because obviously the sanctions were coming. And so he didn't want to have to deal with that. So he got out, right? And I think that Ben Johnson saw an opportunity with I don't want to say that Brian
No,
Poles
it's with it's a hyper talented QB who can sling it. I mean, when Caleb throws the ball, everyone in the stadium pays attention.
I'm more talking about his dealings with Ryan Poles, because you said he wanted to work with a GM that he could work with, right? And I'm not saying that Ryan Poles is a pushover, but what I'm saying is that Ben Johnson might have seen a GM that he can influence, that he can work with, meaning, I want this guy on my offensive line. Go get him. Okay, I'll go get him. Dennis Allen comes in, former head coach, has great defenses when he was a coordinator and as a head coach. I want Dio Dengbo, who hasn't done anything for Indianapolis, but I can get the most out of him. Go pay him. Okay, I'll go pay him. Like, I feel like they might have found someone that they can work with, but is also going to, he'll have his own stamp on guys. Like, I'm sure he had to sign off on Ozzie Trapillo and all that, and the other guys that they drafted. But I think he sees someone who, like in Ben Johnson, like, we're always trying to let Poles cook. Like, he's probably trying to let Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen have as much say in this, because those are their players as well. Like, they both, like, they're all lined up together now contract wise. And I think that if it doesn't work, then I don't think that Ben Johnson's going to be the one that gets fired in a few years if this doesn't work. I think Ben Johnson would be sticking around and picking his own GM. Now, that being said, I think you can learn on the job, because Ryan Poles, this was his first job, right? And we all thought, coming from the Kansas City Chiefs, that this would be a great hire, and he knows personnel better than anybody because they're the best team in the NFL. But I think you can learn, right? Like, when everybody tells you not to bring in Nate Davis and you bring in Nate Davis, maybe listen to your people. I don't know. That might help. Like, when the Steelers are willing to just give you Chase Claypool for basically nothing, maybe take a look at that a second time, because the Steelers tend to not give away good players, So I think you can learn on the job. Like, they held on to Velus Jones for way too long. Hopefully they don't do that with Tyler Scott. Maybe they're driving him to the airport tonight. I just think that, like, you can't stay married to your players, and that's kind of something that he's done. And the attitude that I get from Ben Johnson is that, okay, if Tyler Scott's on this roster, guess what? He's not playing. So you can either take him off the roster, or he's going to sit on the bench, and we're going to waste a roster spot here. So you decide, Ryan Poles. And I think he's going to, like with certain things, he's going to force his hand on other things, right?
Right. Yeah.
So in that vein, who do you think is going to be, for this season, the biggest X factor? Like, obviously outside of Caleb Williams, because it does feel like we go with Caleb, but who's going to be the biggest X factor for the Bears' success? And then who do you see as maybe a regression candidate that might be on their way out?
Okay. And the first one, I'm going to take a cop out and say Ben Johnson, I guess, is the X factor, because, like, I mean, he's the guy. He's the guy everyone wanted. Like, when Monday Night Football starts on, what is it, September 6th? No, whatever it is.
8th.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whenever. So all the days. I know there's 16 days away from the start of the season. So whatever.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I know, it's nuts. Who are they showing first? It's Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, who is the camera going to first? It's Ben Johnson. It's going to be, sure, they'll show Caleb throwing, but the story is going to be about the hot coordinator that everybody's wanted for the last 2 years coming over, and them comparing him to McVay and Shanahan and trying to get that guy. So it has to be Ben Johnson, because he's changed in the brief, however, 5-6 months that he's been here, he's completely changed the organization. like the amount of accountability that's done up there, the way things are run up there, like everything. Like we already know Roma Dunze is a good player. Like we know Colston Loveland's going to be a good player. We know DJ Moore has a history. He's a good player. I think that if the offensive line is right, you can put anybody back there. Like there are difference makers at running back, but I think that for the most part, if you've got good offensive linemen and an all-pro in Joe Thuney, he's going to make holes and guys are going to run through them. Like it's all about scheme. Like Cole Kmet is a big bodied tight end that should be able to take advantage of matchups. And the coaching staffs of the past have not been able to take advantage of those matchups. And I think that Ben Johnson is a guy that's going to do that. So I think he's the X factor. He's got to be the X factor. I think that guys that are going to be primed for regression, I think you just have to go with guys that are up there in age and guys that we have question marks about. Like, what's Grady Jarrett on this team? Like, ever since he got injured a few years ago, he hasn't really performed well. His sacks have been down the last couple of years. He's going to be a great leader, but I don't know if that translates to play on the field. I think that there's not a lot of guys that can regress because they all kind of sucked last year. Like you don't win 5 games and then hope to have guys that regress. Like they're all kind of bad at that point, right? Like if everybody was good and I was struggling to find a guy that was going to regress, I'd be like, well, they're all great guys. I don't know. So I think it's just the guys that that are kind of up there in age that, Montez Sweat can't regress from what he played last year. Like that can't happen.
Yeah.
He was bad last year, DeAndre Swift was bad last year. He can't regress. The Caleb, I don't think can regress. Like if he has less than 3,600 yards than he did last year, we'll be like, something's wrong with Caleb. Like this is not a Ben Johnson issue. This is a Caleb issue. So I don't think you can have much regression because they weren't a good team, like the guys underperformed. Like everybody that was there that had played well the last couple of years. Like the only guy that probably played better than he did the year before was TJ Edwards. Like TJ Edwards played out of his mind at linebacker. He looked like one of the only guys that cared on defense at times. So I think that he's the guy that might regress, but that just could be because the rest of the defense finally plays up to the level that we expect. Like Jalen Johnson looks like a top 5 corner again. Jaquan Brisker stays healthy and doesn't miss, 75% of the year with a concussion. Tyreek Stevenson gets his head out of his ass and actually plays well and doesn't worry about stuff that happens between the whistles and actually plays when the game is actually taking place and doesn't get taunted by other teams and baited into fighting like he has in the past. Like I think that that's why I think Ben Johnson is the X factor. Like he's going to be the guy. Like I'll use a perfect example, right? Okay. A few days ago at camp, I want to say it was last Tuesday at camp, there was a practice where Luther Burden didn't pick up a block and Ben Johnson went in there and absolutely MF'd this dude in front of everybody, was in his face screaming, grabbing him, being like, who's supposed to pick up that block? Who's supposed to, you're all these other guys are doing their job. And he was MFing this dude in front of the media, in front of the fans, like nothing people have ever seen from a Bears head coach before. They ran the exact same play against the Bills, and guess who put his head down and jacked a dude off the line? It was Luther Burden. So, like, that's the X factor. Like, normally, Eberflus would just be like, okay, well, here's the tape. Make sure you get it next time. No, like, he is getting in people's faces and making sure that they know that they f- up and, like, you are going to, like, get it together or you're not. And the rest of the practice and the day after, Luther Burden didn't get a ball thrown his way. Not a single ball went to Luther Burden in 7-on-7s
No block,
or 11
no
on
rock
11s.
over there, huh?
Exactly,
Yep.
100%. And so he knows if he wants to get the football, you better block. So he didn't like doing it in Missouri. Guess what? You're here to block. So you better do it or else you're not getting the football. And I think that players know this and players kind of, at least the offensive players kind of sit up a little straighter because Ben Johnson's there. And I think too, Dennis Allen has the defensive guys because they're like, this guy's done it before. This guy has pedigree. Like when Eberflus came in, the Colts were going to fire him. And they're like, no, we'll hire you. And the Colts are like, oh, all right, you're sure? Okay, fine, whatever. We don't care. Take him. And so I think that when you have Dennis Allen and when you have Ben Johnson coming in there, like everybody's like, this guy knows what he's doing. Okay, that's why like I can't give you an X factor player because it's all got to be Ben Johnson.
All right, so I have an opinion here. So when the Lions went out and signed, and I'm sorry, I always tie everything back to the Lions, but the Lions go out and they signed this guy, Matt Patricia. He comes in, the same attitude, MF this, MF that, you didn't get this right, we're running it again. And, this whole thing. Matt Patricia loses the locker room well within probably 3 months. Why hasn't Ben lost that locker room? Why are people responding to that sort of behavior, or that little, I guess, like, not antics, but for lack of a better term, like, why are they responding to that? Why do they sit up straight when he enters the room? And why is it that this is making such an impression on the guys?
Well, how was the defense with Matt Patricia?
It was actually not too bad, especially when he was like calling the plays. They got
they were
a
losing
little better,
though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they were still losing. Yeah.
Where is he now?
Ohio State. I think he's the defensive coordinator for Ohio State.
Exactly. Ben Johnson's got a coaching job. Like, Ben Johnson's a head coach. Dennis Allen has done this before. Like, yeah, he might have like a little Vic Fangio in him where he's not a head coach. Like, he's just a really good defensive coordinator, but he's got the pedigree. Ben Johnson he's been to an NFC championship game. Like, the Lions have set records. Like, the Bears face this. The thing is, like, the Bears face this offense twice a year. They know how hard it is to stop. And the offensive players watch that on the sideline and they're like, oh man, like, look at the plays that they're running. Like, I want to do that. And finally, they are running the plays. Not necessarily the same plays. They're a different offense, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah,
that, like,
similar trait.
He comes in with pedigree. Now, look, if they lose a bunch of games and they only win 5 games again, yeah, eventually you will tune that out. But I think that people kind of knew what Matt Patricia was, and like that was more like a Belichick thing and not a Matt Patricia thing. And so I think that I'm not saying the Lions are going to be bad. I'm just very interested to see what the Lions offense looks like without Ben Johnson and how much
I'm on the same page with you there.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone over here is really excited. The buzz is, how's the offense going to look? This is a second time coordinator, really, and the first time around he got fired from the Jets. Not that the Jets had a bad offense that year, but it was a very different look. Johnny Morton comes in and says, now we've got this alignment and I feel more comfortable here. And, they bring in, one of his best friends and David Shaw in order to be the pass game coordinator. My whole point is that
David Shaw
Ben
has
Johnson
fallen.
This is what's funny is that Wase would have loved him as the offensive coordinator for Ben Johnson.
No, passing coordinator. I wanted him as a passing coordinator. I just wanted someone with pedigree.
Didn't the Bears interview David Shaw as a head coaching candidate?
We did.
What the hell? Oh. Yeah, no, I think they offered him the passing coordinator job, didn't they? And he went to do this. Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, as far as the Lions go too, you also lost 2 offensive linemen too. So, like, it's just going to be interesting. Like, when you lose, like, it's obvious. The players there are not happy that Ben Johnson is gone. They've said it. They've gone on their podcasts and in the media and been like, we're not happy that he's gone. And so I'm happy he's gone and I'm happy he's the Bears coach. And that's why I think that, like, Detroit's going to regress. We're going to find out if this is a Dan Campbell thing or if this is a Ben Johnson thing that was propping up the offense and Dan Campbell was just kind of the guy deciding whether or not to go for it on 4th down or not.
I'd push back in a little bit, in a little way there, in that they were not happy that he left, as in that's their coordinator. They developed under him and they had so much success, but not in a way that they couldn't find that successor. They don't see that happening with Johnny Morton as well. That being said, that famous quote from Amon-Ra, Ben Johnson, when he got the job, hey, I'm happy for you, but I'm a f you up. And then he says, well, I'm a f you up. Well, we'll see on Sunday, week 2, September 14th, and that'll be fun. That'll be fireworks.
Yeah, I think the Bears are getting them at the right time too. I think getting them early is better. Not everything's going to be clicking right away. They didn't play their guys, right? They never play their guys in the preseason. I don't think the Lions have played anybody.
The Lions aren't. So, they don't play in the preseason. It's all about the joint practice.
All right, good luck.
So in terms of that, I think that we actually had this conversation last week, and I brought up some of those points. Is that with the Lions, you're seeing there's going to be some sort of regression, right? You're not going to be a top offense when you lose all those pieces. When you lose your quarterback on the offensive line and Frank Ragnow, there's going to be some sort of fall off. Whether it's as severe as the 23 Eagles is yet to be seen. the Vikings have had issues in JJ McCarthy that are finally being documented, or it's been hidden from the media for whatever reason, like that he's not doing as well in training camp, that they're exposing some clips online that show him really performing, but then on the daily, he's not doing that well. And then the Packers just didn't do anything. They just didn't make their one inspiring move for the entire offseason was giving a guard a ton of money. And other than that, we're just like going to run it back with Matt LaFleur's offense. My record prediction for this season was a 9-8 year and second place in the division, because I don't think, like you said, it's going to be a 3-team double-digit win division. What are your thoughts on the division as a whole and where the Bears fall into place?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think 9 wins. I think they, if you look at it, they had how many one-score games that were lost because Eberflus is just bad at his job. Like if he calls a timeout in the Washington game, who knows? Like, listen, we might be not giving Tyreek Stevenson enough credit, because had he not screwed up, then the butterfly effect, Ben Johnson's not here. So I think, the game on Thanksgiving against the Lions, everybody's like, call a timeout. Like, what are you doing? Call a timeout. Why aren't you calling a time? So like, if Ben Johnson has already been asked about those situations and has shown in the first preseason game, he actually knows how to handle end of half situations. That's 2 more wins right there. One of the Vikings wins. They should have beat the Vikings one at a time. So that's 3 more wins right there that coaching malpractice took away. I think that they'll look better early than they did against the Titans. They got lucky in that game to win that game. So because the defense actually showed up and saved them from that. So I think that they win 9 games. I don't know what it means as far as playoffs, wild card. I mean, this is the toughest division in football, easily. It's tougher than the AFC North. It's tougher than the NFC West. You have 4 legitimate teams that anybody could say could be a wild card team, and someone's going to win the division, right? You're not going to get 4 teams in the playoffs, obviously. They got 3, you're going to get maybe 3. I don't know. It depends on how, like, you're not getting, we were trying to do this exercise the other day. You're not going to get more than 1 out of the East. You're not going to get, you might get 2 out of the West. You're going to get 1 out of the South.
I think you might get 2 out of the South. I think the Falcons might also get in the South.
I mean, we don't even know what Michael Penix is. Michael Penix is JJ McCarthy. It's the same as JJ McCarthy. We haven't seen anything. They're not even playing him in the preseason. What are we doing? Like, come on. So I don't know. I think you're getting like, I think if the Bears were playing in the NFC South, okay, they're in. Like, they're making the playoffs. Like, that's going to be your wild card team. But they're not. So I think it's, look, if the Lions only, like I said earlier, if the Lions only regress and win 11 games, they're in, right? They're going to win the division. If the Packers stay the same, like, 9 wins might not make the playoffs. But I think that 9 wins is 8 wins is a good goal. I think if you win 8 games and you go from 3 wins to 5 wins, a new regime, to 8 wins, but also depends on how it looks, right? If they win, they got a tough schedule. Like, there's a really tough sequence here. If you start out hot and then the rest of the season, you lose 6 in a row to end the season, that's a problem. If you're losing to bad teams like the Saints and the Giants could sneak up on you because they have one of the better defenses in the NFL. If you lose that game 14-10, that's a bad loss. If you're 9-8 or 8-9, and those are 1-score losses, and you're fighting at the end, and you like just missed the playoffs, and like you're in the hunt graphic the whole time until the last day of the season, like that's not a bad season. So like I can say 9 wins or 8 wins, but it also depends on how it looks. Like you can't have what you had last year, where you start hot and then lose 10 games, and then like have it be okay at the end because you beat the Packers. Like that can't happen. There has to be some form of consistency. Like the one thing I know from this team, and I can say pretty confidently, is like they're not going to be unprepared. Like Ben Johnson's going to have them ready, and they're not going to get off the bus down 7. Like this team is going to be ready and be in most of every game. Now, they're going to lose to the Ravens. Like that's going to, like, I don't think they're going to beat the Ravens. No. They might be able to beat the Bengals. The Bengals defense sucks. Trey Hendrickson might not be there. So like, you can get a win against the Bengals. Like they're going to lose some that they should win, and they're going to win some that they should lose. It's the NFL. Everybody's 8-8, and then you find that one extra win or loss, right? Unless you're the Saints or unless you're the Bills or the Ravens, right? So I think 8 or 9 is good. Like the ceiling, I would say, is like if everything goes great, we're talking 10 or 11, but I doubt that. I would say that this
Yeah,
is the
no.
year where, like, I remember Ben Johnson's first year with the Lions. They started 1-6 and then won a bunch of games at the end, and everybody was like, watch out, the Lions are coming. And then that was the next year where the Lions were like a real team and started their window open. Like, I think their window, Chris and I talked about this today on our show, that like the window is like, it's like cracked. It's like someone that's like smoking a cigarette in their car in the middle of winter. Like it's just cracked a little bit. And then like next year will be the, all right, let's open the window here. Like this is, we're going to start, actually
Yeah.
competing to win the division on a regular basis.
Yeah. So in that vein, let's talk about your AFC and NFC winners and your Super Bowl prediction. Macro level, who do you see taking it this year?
I really loved the Rams until Stafford woke
me
up.
too.
I loved the Rams. I'm going to pick the Rams still in the NFC. I'm still
Wow.
going to stick to my
Okay.
guns, and I'm still going to pick the Rams. I don't think the Eagles are going to be as successful. I think, like I said, the Lions slip back a little bit. I mean, besides the Lions and the Eagles, who else is there in the NFL?
Maybe
Okay.
Tampa. Maybe.
Yeah, stay
49ers.
healthy.
On.
The Tampa.
Niners are in
I think
for a comeback season.
Yeah, they
They're
could
in
win their
for a
division,
regression.
but like, okay, who do they have out there?
Yeah, they don't have much on offense at all.
Yeah, okay, and then like, I guess you could say
They might finish behind the Cardinals. Actually,
I could see it.
Stop
I
it.
could
That's
see
ridiculous.
it. I think the Seahawks are going to be
I can't see it
sneaky.
at all.
the Cardinals have a good defense, and then the Cardinals were sneakily a top 10 offense last year.
Well, plus we're not factoring in when the Bears trade for Micah Parsons. So when the Bears trade for Micah Parsons here in like a week,
The rumors right now are that the Packers are really big on Micah Parsons right now.
Wase, where'd you
And
pick
that
up
would
that
be
rumor?
awful.
Let's talk about your source online. Why don't you run that by Adam? We want to address this.
Do you know that account on Twitter? The Sears Tower, Willis Tower account?
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. That's your
See?
source?
I'm saying.
No, that's not the source. No.
Sometime he hits. No pun intended. Sometimes he hits.
We know it's
Okay.
Wase's burner. It's okay. It's his burner.
fine.
He's throwing shit against the wall. He wants to see what'll stick and then what will get that traction, and it's fine. But we always poke fun of Wase that he's secretly running this account and hoping that things
That's funny.
will turn out.
I'm gonna go.
So you're
I'm
going
gonna
Rams
go-
still, even with the injury.
I'm still gonna go Rams. I trust McVay. I think Devontae Adams being there is huge. I still think that like he's still the best. He's until Ben Johnson takes over, he's still the best coach in the NFC. And then in the AFC, I think it's their year. I think it's the Bills' year. I think if you knock on the door so many times, and eventually you're going to get through. I'm not saying that the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs, but they might not even win their division. And I would say that their luck in games, they played in 10 one-score games last year. Do you know what their record was in 10 one-score games last year? 10-0. Like that can't continue. They cannot continue.
Yeah.
So I think that they will regress a little bit, but I also but I'm not going to count them out because getting to the Super Bowl and losing is the ultimate Andy Reid revenge tour. So they could, but I think that this is fine. I'm going to go Bills, Rams, and I think that the Bills win it this year.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
kind of chalky.
I mean,
It's kind of chalky, but yeah.
I like the Ravens. I like the Ravens a lot, but the Bills, I just feel like they don't have pieces on offense to make it all the way. Don't see like their wide receiver one is Josh Palmer, Keon Coleman.
Well, Lamar can't play in the playoffs, so what are they going to do?
Listen, and Josh had all those guys last year too, and someone always produces. 5 guys will have 800 yards for the Bills. So
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen has looking at the joint practice and stuff, like this is the best Josh Allen has looked, and that's scary. Like he's already been great. Like he looks better in practice and in these joint practices than he did in his MVP season last year. And it's like, okay, that's scary.
Yeah, but that MVP was like
that was a Disney, a Mickey Mouse MVP.
He deserved it. He deserved it.
Lamar
If
had
Joe
an
Burrow-
incredible year.
If Joe Burrow had a winning team, that is your MVP. I'm saying it. That's a declaration.
Listen,
this guy.
You're talking to the guy that wanted to give it to Peyton Manning the year he got hurt and sat out the entire year. Nobody proved that he was more valuable to that team than Peyton Manning. Okay, like you show me a more valuable player than that guy. I mean, they lost. They didn't win a game, basically. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's the Bills. I don't know who I'm giving MVP. I don't want to say Lamar might win it again. Maybe Burrow wins it. I don't know. It
I
depends.
feel like it has to be Burrow almost for his own legacy because
It's kind
he's
of his
fallen off
turn,
from
right?
like yeah. And then let's go to some bold predictions, some hot takes. What hot takes do you have? You said the Chiefs. So one of my hot takes is that the Broncos are actually going to win the AFC West this year.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I want to see it from Bo Nix again before I think Sean Payton's a good coach, but I could see that. I said the Seahawks, I think, could be a sneaky team and maybe be a wild card
Yeah.
team this year. I think that the way that he played last year, I think that people will be very surprised by the Panthers and Bryce Young. I think that Bryce Young, I mean, obviously I'm biased.
In a good way?
Yeah, yes. In a good, yes.
Nadeem is a
yeah.
Bryce Young hater, so that should give you insight into that response.
Yeah, I think that Bryce Young is a good quarterback. I like Dave Canellis. They played really well towards the end of the season. I think he's going to be good.
Really well, such a stretch.
I mean, he's
You're the
good.
only one who thinks that's a stretch. He's good.
He's a good player. Like they played really well at the end of the season.
Did he have a 300-yard game? I don't think he did.
I mean, but they've got people now. Like I think they're going to be better.
Numbers.
They're going to be better. They're going to be better.
Well, you saw improvement from him, which is what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
okay. I have one.
Yeah.
I have it for you. The Steelers are going to make the playoffs. I don't know. That's that bold. I don't know if that's that bold.
I agree with that.
The Steelers are going to. That defense is too good, and Aaron Rodgers is serviceable. Yeah. I think that DK Metcalf is good. I think that they're going to make. I think as a wild card team, I think they make the playoffs. Yeah. I don't know if the Bengals.
Do you like that trade, that Minka for Jalen Ramsey trade? Do you think it made them better?
Yeah, I think it's kind of even. I mean, if you could have a pretty even trade, I think it did make them better. But it's more that I don't like the Bengals, and I don't think that. I think the Bengals are going to fire in dudes at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is kind of it. Like when you start playing guys in the preseason that you've never played before, and you're like, we got to start fast. Like you're getting desperate. Like it's getting late early for those guys, and I think
they never start out. They never start out good. Like they'll lose to the Patriots in week 1. Yeah, so they have to do something different.
I think if they don't make the playoffs, that they're firing people, and the Steelers make the playoff. Yeah. I might have a future on the Steelers too, so I might be biased. So.
All right, I got a bold take here for you guys. Houston gets the 1 seed in the AFC.
Whoa.
Okay. So they got rid of one of their worst offensive linemen.
They got rid of their best offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, if you're the tallest little person, what does it really matter? I would say. And I don't know. I think that CJ Stroud plays better. I don't think that they're winning. Like you're not beating. Like you're saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, or they're going to be the number 1 seed.
No, they'll be the number 1 seed coming out of the AFC.
Okay.
I think it's because I have them beating up on the AFC South, the NFC West, and they'll steal a few games from the AFC West.
Okay, all right, not as bold as I thought, but yes,
I think it's pretty bold.
Yeah, I mean,
to get the 1 seed is the bold part.
It is, but they're not. You're not telling me that they're going to the Super Bowl, meaning they have to go through the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens or any of those.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, they win the most games. All right, sure. I don't know.
But they might be starting Nick Chubb as their running back.
I mean, okay, if you got, I mean, the offensive line's bad too. So
deep. They're 4 receivers deep. They'll be a different offense this year.
I think they'll be better. But I don't know if they'll be that great. I think CJ has a bounce back year, but yeah.
Wassa, you got one?
I got a couple, man.
He's got to look up his burner account.
He's got to look up on the burner.
What is he saying? He's actually saying, his latest scoop was that Alvin Kamara is going to join the Bears by tomorrow or something like that. So if he's right, then F all of you guys, and we should all follow him because he's right. But anyways, my hot take is there's a guy by the name of Adonai Mitchell in Indianapolis, and I think he's going to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver by the end of the year.
That's great.
You're laughing, but you know what? I believe in him.
Josh Downs is a better receiver than AD Mitchell.
Daniel Jones.
I know. That's my point.
I mean, I said that about Malik Neighbors last year. He didn't have a quarterback, and I was still right about him. I said that about Jahmyr Gibbs the year before that. I was right about him.
Okay. I don't think, I mean.
But he was top 10 wide receiver. That's the point. In fantasy. I mean, I'm not saying overall in the league. In fantasy.
That's still, you got to be good.
Yeah. It's literally called fantasy.
He's so good. He's such a smooth route runner. He's like CD Lamb but faster. God, I really.
Oh
Watson,
my
should we leave you
God.
alone?
I
Should we
I
give you
hope-
your privacy for right now?
I hope you get yards
He's
after
so
the
good.
catch because oof.
He will. He will. He will. Promise he will.
Here, I got one more bold take here. And you know what? Honestly, Adam, I'm gonna say I had the Chiefs not making the AFC Championship game. That was gonna be one of my bold takes, but you said it. I also had that the Bengals were gonna fire Zach Taylor at the end of the year. I also had Dak Prescott not being the QB for the Cowboys come 2026. That's my bold take.
That's not outlandish, I don't think. I think it kind of depends on what happens with Parsons here. If they end up paying Parsons, which I think they will, because I don't think anybody's going to give up 3 first-round picks for him,
No.
and then eventually they'll just cave and pay him. I could see that. I mean, I don't think they're ever going to want to reset, but that's probably the boldest out of what we've all said, I would say.
Joe Milton's got a cannon.
And he's terrible.
They have to be bad enough to where, like, you'd have to say the only way I see that happening is like they end up maybe not next year, but they bottom out and Arch is available in 27, and then they draft Arch Manning to play for Dallas.
Speaking of Arch, did you hear today? He said that he's not ruling out 26. He
There's
said,
no way.
I don't know what that old man's talking about when his grandpa went and told him that
There's no
he's
way.
going to be. He said today, he's like, you can't ever say so. That's a perfect segue into our college football preview. What are your thoughts on Arch Manning for next year or this year in general? Where do you see him in the realm of college football?
I think he's going to be really good. I think that the system that Sark runs is obviously very quarterback friendly. They've got a bunch of weapons. They've got a really good offensive line. Like, it's perfect. It's perfect for him. He will never not be the number 1 pick. Like, it's if he.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, he'll
Really?
like the only way he won't be is if he comes out and he's like complete ass. And there's no way
Yeah.
Sark will have that happen because he's just that good at offense. You know, and Texas will always have the money to recruit guys that will perfect example, Bryce Young. Perfect example is Bryce Young is great in college because of the system around him and convinced everyone he was great and then went and wasn't, right? So Arch Manning can do the name is points alone. The fact that he plays for Texas and is going to be in a playoff every single year he's there. The fact that he's probably going to get to at least the last 4 or whatever they're going to call it, whatever sponsor they're going to attach to it for the last 4, and he might go to a national championship game, whether they win or not. They might win the SEC, and I think that the more he stays, the more likely he is to be a number 1 pick because he is the prototypical first round number 1 overall pick. He's got the name. He's coming from a pedigree school. He's going to win a ring or 2. Like, he is going to be unless it's injury, I don't see a way where he plays himself out of being the number 1 pick.
Okay, so let's say this. Let's say there's a guy who's like hyped like Kade Klubnik. Everyone's saying Clemson has one of the best rosters. Let's say he wins a title and has a good year. Do you still think Arch goes over him, even though a guy like Kade wins the title and is coming up?
Yeah, because the only way Arch comes out this year is if he plays better than Kade. He's also not going to come out if he's not the number 1 pick. Yeah, like he's the reason that I feel that the Archie is doing all this stuff and saying that he's not necessarily going to come out is because they want to see who's going to have the number 1 pick. Like, he's not going to go to some bullshit team. You know, like they're doing this is all PR. Like, if you were to tell me that you knew that like Dallas was going to have the number 1 pick, they wouldn't say anything. They would hope that Dallas would have the number 1 pick and that he would go to Dallas. If you told me maybe even, I don't want to say the Titans, they just drafted Cam Ward, so it won't be the Titans, but like
Nola?
I would say where?
Nola, like New Orleans, like his granddaddy's
team?
team?
Yeah, I would say maybe like that could be a chance there. They're probably going to be the worst team in the NFL, but anything can happen. Like the Giants, like I don't think he goes to the Giants. I think they would have to line it up, right? Like the Saints just hired a new head coach. Like, if the Mannings can go to New York and they fire Dable and they can handpick a head coach because that's how this is going to work. They want an offensive guy to be with Arch. That's a situation. if it's a guy that has a job already, like they're not going to fire. What's his face? Who took over the Saints? I can't remember off the top of my head. Why can't I think of it? I'm looking at his face right
Kellen
now.
Moore.
Kellen Moore. Yeah, I'm looking at his. He looks like a thumb.
Yeah.
He like they're not going to go play for Kellen Moore. He's just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like you would have to get like if Gruden came back
Joe Brady
and got the Giants job,
Okay.
and something where they're dictating policy without pulling the Eli and saying, I'm not going to play for you. So they're starting it early to say, hey, maybe he goes back and plays for a year. Maybe he goes back and plays for 2. Like every college person that I trust isn't even doing work on him this year because they know he's not coming out.
I mean, it
So-
makes the
That's
most
what I
sense.
think.
Yeah, so I like Cade Klubnik's probably going to be the first pick, I would say. I think Clemson's super underrated this year. I think what are they 10-1 now to win? They were 18-1
Are they?
like a month
They went
ago.
down?
Yeah, I think they were like 18-1 like a month ago, and now I think they're down to like 10-1. Because I was just talking to someone at the station about it today, and they were like, "Yeah, I got it at 18, and now they're down to 10." So maybe his bookie has it or something. I don't know. So I really like Cade Klubnik this year and Clemson. I think that I hate Clemson too. So it pains me to say this, but I think they're just going to stroll into the playoff pretty easily and do a first round bye too.
Yeah, their roster's stacked. They have like all Americans everywhere. So.
Mm-hmm.
So then on that note, I think Abdul has to leave real quick.
Yep. Sorry, folks. I'm going to head off early. Adam, it was a great talking to you, buddy.
It's a pleasure.
We'll catch up hopefully sometime later in the season.
All right, take it easy, man.
All right, see you, Dill.
So in that vein, who are your top 5 quarterbacks in college right now?
Okay, so Cade Klubnik's obviously number 1. I think Arch is still going to be up there. I'm not going to pick it necessarily like an order. I'm going to say Nussmeier is up there too.
Yeah.
I think it's just a super quarterback-friendly system up there too as well.
Yeah.
I hate it. I know you're going to ask me for playoff teams. I think that Penn State's going to go pretty far, and Drew Aller is going to be really good. I like Drew Aller a lot.
Nadeem hates him. I don't know why, and I'm telling him
I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good.
I don't think the coach is very good, but I think he's a decent player. And I'll go with how many is that? 4? That was 4?
Yeah, you get it 4. Yeah.
Okay. Who's the kid at Oklahoma? Who's the kid that just transferred to Oklahoma?
John Mateer?
Yeah,
John
Mateer.
Mateer.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
go with John Mateer. Yeah, I think Oklahoma's pretty underrated this year too.
Yeah. I mean, that's music to my ears. Basically, John Mateer's my number 1.
Okay. All right.
Wassey's really big on Drew Aller. I just think he just sits in the pocket and just stands there and waits for somebody to get open. But without Tyler Warren,
if that's your system, that's your system. I think they're returning everybody back except for like 2 guys on offense and defense, all their starters. I think Penn State's going to win the Big Ten this year. So I mean, they have to beat Ohio State. Yeah, I mean, they have.
You think they're finally going to get over the hump?
They get Ohio State on the road, right? They have to go to Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think that's their biggest test, and then they'll probably face Ohio State again in the Big Ten championship game. So I think it would depend on that.
Really?
I think it's them. It's Ohio State. I think Illinois. Illinois has a super easy schedule. No, Indiana. No, not Indiana. Indiana. Illinois is going to beat Indiana.
You're sleeping on Indiana.
I'm
You're
not.
sleeping on them.
I'm not.
I can't believe you're not putting.
Both my brothers-in-law went there, and trust me, I am not. Illinois is going to beat them on the road, and that'll be the end of Indiana. I'd
love to wager that. That's insane. I feel like we'll see Indiana in the championship. The conference championship. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. I'm not even trying to be like a Indiana home. I don't even go to Indiana. I don't care about it. But I feel like they immensely improved that quarterback. Immensely. Fernando Mendoza is actually going to be, to me, a top 3 quarterback draft prospect coming up in next year's draft. They have one of the best wide receivers in all of college football, and Elijah Sarrett. They have one of the best cornerbacks. I mean, I feel like they have pieces all over that team that you'd be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Those are draft-ready players. And I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten.
What's their schedule off the top of I got to look at their schedule real quick.
I don't know the schedule, but I'm just...
Let's see. Oh, they got a tough schedule, man. They got Illinois, Oregon, and Penn State, and they have to go to Penn State. They're going to lose 2 out of those 3. They're not going to the championship game.
They might lose all 3.
I think they might lose.
Illinois is good.
I think they lose to Illinois, And
Who's Oregon's
I
quarterback?
don't know. Who cares? Dan Lanning's
Yeah.
head coach. Who cares?
Isn't it Dante
The
Moore?
Duck could be quarterback for all I care with Dan Lanning out there. He's gonna step on your neck, dude.
No, I got high hopes for IU.
That's fair. I don't think they're bad. I just think they're gonna lose all their ranked games.
All right. I want to quickly just go over your diehard Bama fan. Let's go over the Crimson Tide schedule and do a record prediction because I think the SEC is going to be maybe even better than the NFL this year because there's so much talent in the division now. There's so many great teams top to bottom, and not everyone can finish 10-2, 9-3, and make the playoff. So let's talk real quick about the Crimson Tide. They start the season at Florida State.
They start the season at Georgia, September 27th.
So we're just going straight. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
So you all the way through Georgia.
yeah.
That game is going to be interesting because Georgia's coming off of the loss last year. That Ryan Williams catch is probably the play of the year in college football last year.
Yeah.
What do we think? So they're 3-0 coming into this game. I think Georgia's got it. What do you think?
Well, they're both coming off a bye. Georgia has a much tougher game the week before that. They have to go to Tennessee the week before that game. Alabama's beaten Georgia 4 out of the last 5 times. That won the national championship game in Indianapolis. So I think it's the only game that Alabama's an underdog in. They're a 3-point underdog right now and like obviously way look ahead. And a lot can change. I know that Alabama just lost their running back in a scrimmage. He's probably going to miss the Florida State game, but he'll be back by the time they play Georgia. So not worried about that. But assuming everyone stays healthy, like you have to just assume that. I think it'll be another close game. Like I think Alabama's going to be better than this year. I think their defense has gotten a lot better. I think Williams is going to be great. I like Ty Simpson. I think he's a decent quarterback. I think he's more like, obviously he's not Jalen Hurts. Obviously he's not Bryce Young. I think I don't want to say he's Greg McElroy or anything like that, but he's more of your prototypical stand in the pocket, make throws type of quarterback, you know?
Like a Mac Jones, kind of. He reminds me of Mac Jones.
Yeah, kind of like Mac Jones, I would say. But I think he's way more mobile than Mac Jones. Jones couldn't move. Yeah. Like he's got some speed on him too. So I would say that, that's that game and the Oklahoma game. I'm kind of worried about South Carolina, but then there's just something about these teams. They still see they still see that team running out of the tunnel. And I know Saban's not there, but they still get, they still look at the size of the athletes versus the size of their athletes. There's still something about Alabama that teams just kind of, shrivel a little bit. And I think that, even though they were down last year, obviously, but I didn't have big expectations. I think they lose to Vanderbilt, but I kind of had them losing all the other games that they lost just because.
There's no way you had them losing to Oklahoma.
I mean,
Oklahoma was terrible last year.
At that point, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. You also have to factor in, I get it. You have more teams in the playoff, but a lot of these teams that have these expectations, Alabama, Ohio State, Penn State, once you lose a couple games, there's no motivation because you're not making the playoff. So you're not making the SEC championship game. You're not making the playoff. There's no motivation other than your coach saying we can't quit and you got to play for each other and all that rah, rah, rah bullshit. So when there's nothing to play for, you start checking out. You start slacking off at practice. And that's kind of the thing that Kalen DeBoer, I don't want to necessarily puts up with, but maybe lets slide a little more than Saban would in the past. Where every game mattered with Saban. They never I think they only lost back-to-back games once with Saban when he was there, aside from his first year when he was there, and they lost 4 or 5 games his first year. After that, I think they only lost back-to-back games twice, and that might have been I'm trying to think of what a game. Maybe it was a Tennessee game and an LSU game. I don't know. I think it might have been the year Joe Burrow was there, and LSU beat Tua. I'm thinking, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that I think they're going to be better this year. I think their offense is going to be good. I looked at advanced metrics have them as the number 2 team in the country, and some SP Plus has them as the number 2 team in the country.
Wow.
So I like them a lot. I am obviously biased. I think their only loss is that Georgia game. I think they only lose to Georgia. And I think the South Carolina, I'm not worried about Oklahoma because it's at home. Oklahoma's at home.
And you guys are playing with so much more in that game because of what happened last year. Like the embarrassment factor, the revenge factor. Kalen DeBoer is not going to just let that game slide.
Well, it's also after the LSU game, which is tough. Like at least you have a bye in between South Carolina and LSU. So I'm not as worried about LSU because Brian Kelly. So I'm not worried about him. He's a horrible human being. And so I'm not worried about Tennessee. You get it at home. South Carolina's
Yeah.
on the road. I think they'll beat South Carolina. Again, I was looking at headlines today. They're like 14-point favorites against South Carolina on the road.
Really?
So, yeah.
South Carolina is going to be so good this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Alabama. I mean,
We didn't talk about Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers has a shot
Yeah.
to be like a top 3 pick next year.
yeah, I think he could be too. I mean, he's going to make a run for Heisman too, I think.
Yeah. And Dylan Stewart is great off the edge.
It's more of a scheduling thing where I'd be worried about. Well, I mean, yeah, off the edge. Alabama's got one of the best offensive linemen in the country. They've got one of the best tackles in the country, if not the best tackle in the country.
Proctor.
So
yeah,
Proctor's if teams weren't desperate for quarterbacks, Proctor would be the number 1 pick in the NFL. If this was 2002 when we were taking big beef in the first 2 picks of the draft like we used to, like a proper country, then Caden Proctor would be the number 1 pick in the draft without even thinking about it. So it's more of a scheduling thing for Oklahoma. Like I think Oklahoma is just a scheduling issue because of right after the LSU game.
So you think they just steamrolled through Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU just like that, and then
I don't know.
Oklahoma
I'm not necessarily steamroll. I think they're going to be tough games, but I think they're going to be better than they were last year. So I think they win those games.
Okay. And then you said, are they going to beat Oklahoma?
I think because it's at home, I'm going to give the edge to Alabama. Assuming everyone stays healthy, I'm going to give the edge to Oklahoma. Or to Alabama, I mean, because it's at home and Oklahoma's got to go on the road. That will be a night game. It's going to be, Tuscaloosa at night it's not the easiest. It's not the toughest place to play. It's not the easiest place to play. Like the way the stadium's constructed, it's loud, but it's not like going to Tennessee,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma's also going to be in the midst of the most brutal schedule in college football because they play Texas, then South Carolina, then Ole Miss, then Tennessee, then Bama. Get a break at Missouri, and then to go to LSU.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that they've got a tough role of it too. So that's why it's just a scheduling thing why I think they could beat out Oklahoma. But that Georgia game, I don't know. Like I'll probably take the points and take Alabama on the points because like they've just had Georgia's number. That's the one team aside from the national championship game, and that was because of injury. Like if dudes don't get hurt, as soon as Mechie messed up his leg, and got hurt in that game, that was over. I don't know if everyone's healthy in that game. I think Alabama keeps it closer, might end up winning that game. But there's no team shrivels up more at the sight of that crimson more than Georgia and Kirby Smart for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if Saban still walks the sideline in front of him real quick just before the game starts, just to give him a little wink, and then goes back up into the booth. But there's something about Kirby Smart and Alabama where during the regular season and championship, not national championship, obviously, but SEC championship games, he just can't do it.
Man, so you have him going 11-1 because I'm guessing that you clearly have him beating Eastern Illinois and then winning the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, it's kind of like the NFL where they'll probably, if I had this, they're more than likely to lose one of those 4 games, those 4 ranked games. So I'll say 10-2. I don't know which one they'll lose, but they'll probably lose one. So I'll be safe and say 10-2.
I would say South Carolina.
Yeah, just because it's on the road. There's no bye week in between. Yeah, that's probably a good one to pick.
All right, and then so let's just wrap up our segment here with just your playoff prediction. So you have Bama, clearly.
I got to pick 12 teams now. This sucks. I hate picking 12 teams now. I swear to God, if they go to 24 or 28, I'm not picking all the teams because there's no point. There's no point. I don't want to pick 16 either. I don't want to do that. That doesn't make sense to me either.
Well, okay, at least they reseeded it, so you're not getting Boise State and Arizona State getting buys.
That's good. I do like that.
Yeah.
But I still think I bring back the BCS. Give me the 2 teams and call it a day. I'll go. God, I have to pick 10 of these. There are 12. How many do I have to pick? Okay.
So you got
let's
Alabama.
See. I got Alabama. I got Texas. I got Georgia. I got Penn State. I got Ohio State. I got Notre Dame. Let's see. I got Boise State.
Yeah. The consolation prize of the group of 5.
Clemson, obviously. Okay, I did say Clemson. Sorry,
Yeah,
ACC. I
Clemson.
forgot. Someone's got to win the Big 12. Let's go. I'll just go Kansas State. Yeah, I'll go Kansas State. That's 9, right? And
So you got
the rest
9, so you have 3.
the rest can kick rocks because they don't care. They don't matter.
No Arizona State.
No, I don't think you only get one team. You
Oh,
don't.
man.
I don't. I mean, Clemson's the only out of those conferences that's going to matter that gets one team. Like it's an SEC
Yeah,
and
that's
Big
true.
Ten. And what they want to do and guaranteeing like 7. Why play the season if you're going to get 7
Yeah.
automatic bids? Why are we playing the season? Like it's almost stupid to
Right.
play championship games now because both teams make it. Like what's the point? Just so
Yeah.
you can hang a banner
Yeah.
when you lose in the playoff? Like it's stupid. It's so dumb. Just do it. Just do whoever is number 1 in the rankings at the end of the season in your conference. Hang your banner, and you don't get. There's no conference championship games. They're stupid.
So who are those 3 teams, though, the bubble teams that are making the college football playoffs? Between Florida, LSU, South Carolina, Oklahoma,
Illinois.
Michigan.
Michigan's gonna suck.
Illinois.
Michigan's gonna suck this year. I'm so down on them.
Yeah.
I'm so
Really?
down
With
on
Bryce
them.
Underwood? You think Bryce Underwood's going to suck?
I mean, it's his first year. Like I don't know. I don't.
They've lost so many pieces in the draft.
Yeah, they lost a lot. I think they have let's see. Their projected wins they've got 9 projected wins.
That's a lot.
That's a lot
But
for
only
them.
a
Surprised.
29% chance to make the playoff. I mean, they're gonna lose. I don't even know their schedule. Let me look at their schedule real quick.
I think they're going to lose to Oklahoma.
They're gonna lose to Oklahoma. They're gonna lose to Ohio
But then
State.
they don't have a hard schedule. They have a really easy schedule.
Okay, you want here's scrap the NFL bowl takes for a second. Nebraska's going to be a problem. Nebraska's going to be a dark. I am telling you, Nebraska is a dark horse Big Ten contender. I'll just say contender. I'm not going to say they're going to do anything. I'm just going to say Nebraska is going to be a dark horse contender this year.
Rayola Heisman contender?
I mean, okay, it's mostly schedule based. Their toughest games are Michigan and Penn State, and they get Penn State. The Penn State's towards the end of the season on the road. They could win all of their games except for Penn State. If they beat Michigan, look, they play Cincinnati, Akron, Houston Christian, Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, Penn State, and Iowa. I mean, it's a
cupcake schedule.
Yeah, like I think they're going to be up there. I don't think they'll beat Penn State, which will keep them out of the championship game, but they could finish 3rd or they could finish 4th, 5th in the Big Ten. That's not too shabby. And if it comes down to it, I mean, if you're looking, obviously their strength of schedule and resume is going to suck unless they beat Penn State. But I would bet that when they play Penn State, they're both ranked.
Wow.
They could be undefeated going into that game. If they beat Michigan, they could be undefeated going into that game.
That's 10 wins. That's insane for Nebraska.
I mean, more losses. There are no more losses.
They just had so many players leave their program because there's obviously not a lot of confidence in that program. I don't know if it's just me from the outside looking in, but it just does not feel like they're set up to be a good program anytime soon.
So are you calling them as one of your bubble teams?
Yeah, they'll be I think they'll be a bubble team. If you're 4th in the Big Ten, you might get in.
Oh,
wow.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Awesome.
Do you like LSU at all?
No, I don't like
a lot
LSU.
of people are high on LSU.
I mean, I just think that
I think Oklahoma has a good chance to make it.
I think so too. I'm pretty high on Oklahoma. I don't even think they're necessarily a bubble team. I think they could just be very good. I think that when you look at LSU, one, I hate Brian Kelly. He's the worst person in the world. And then they're gonna lose their first game of the season. I mean,
to Clemson, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he allegedly, the whole tower thing. So I think they lose their first game of the season. They could lose their 3rd game of the season in Florida against Florida. Then they have to play Ole Miss and South Carolina back to back. Then they have to play Texas A&M and Alabama back to back, and then they end the season with Oklahoma. They could be a 4-loss team. They could easily be a 4-loss team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that they're gonna.
I mean, if we were still a 4-team playoff, their season would be over week 1.
Yeah. I mean, they just have the entire SEC. The way the scheduling works in the SEC versus the teams that you see in the Big Ten, it's a joke.
Well, and that's why I love that. I love the Big Ten. All the Big Ten coaches just shitting on the SEC because they don't play cupcakes.
Yeah.
Like I think I saw some team just scheduled like a home and home with like Howard, and it's like, all right, Big Ten, what are you doing? Like you're gonna shit on us now? Like that's what we're doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then who wins the Natty for you and the Heisman?
Okay, Heisman, I think it's Klubnik, and as
What?
much as
Okay.
I hate to say it, I think Clemson wins the national
Yeah, because
championship game.
that would have to go hand in hand almost, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
those two.
I don't think
Yeah.
you're getting a dark horse like a guy like Genty who's going to take votes away from people. Like I think this
Oh,
year is
no,
going
no,
to
no, no,
be.
no.
I think you're strictly going to get quarterbacks, maybe a defensive
I think-
player, but I think you're strictly getting. There might be a. I mean, listen, if Alabama has a good year, Ryan Williams might be there. If Alabama has a really good year, but I think that would be more of a like they might almost have to go undefeated for him to get up there.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremiah Smith could be up there.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith could
Yeah.
be there too. I would say that because I think Clemson's going to go undefeated. Like I think Clemson's going to go undefeated, and if you go undefeated, like Klubnik's going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, if Penn State goes undefeated, Aller's going to get a lot of votes. I think.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I
I'll
mean,
guarantee that
it's
that'll
not going to be. Well, like the problem with them is I would like Abdul Carter is gone. Otherwise, I would have given it. I've been like Abdul Carter is going to be the guy this year. Like if he stayed, I'd be like he's going to be the guy this year. But he left,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I think it's going to be Klubnik, and I think unfortunately Clemson's going to win it. I hate it.
I think that this year the reason that there's so much excitement is because for the first time since the NIL really took over, you have
Yeah.
no more fake superstars in the league. It's just a bunch of actual great quarterbacks are back because you have the potential for Nussmeier, you guys say Aller, Lenore Sellers, John Mateer, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway. There's so many good quarterbacks that are finally back. And we're not looking at, Shador Sanders or Cam Wards or like Jackson Darts.
I think also too, if you look at the way I'm just trying to pull up something here real quick, like the way this is shaping out, like there's a lot of conversation about the coaches too this year. Like a lot, like obviously the players have to play, but like can Ryan Day, win with the new quarterback and win with all this new stuff? Like, what's Kalen DeBoer going to do in his second year? Is James Franklin going to finally get over the hump and win a big game for once? Like, is Georgia going to be back and like actually, is the SEC going to reign again? Like, what's going on? Is Texas and Arch Manning? Like, are they going to actually finally win a national championship game? What's Notre Dame going to look like? Like, I think that there's more. Like, yes, there's a ton of superstars and they're all getting paid and deservedly so, but like there's a lot of high profile schools that like really need to win a championship.
Yeah. And it feels like they're back, like the big schools, the big names, the big brands of the sport were actually back to having actual faces of college football. Not like Dion at Colorado or these random pieces anymore.
And I think you're going to get fun teams too. Like Illinois is going to be fun. Like they're going to be good. That's going to be a fun team to watch. You're going to get these other schools. Like Oklahoma is going to be a fun team. Like I know they're obviously like a big national brand and everything, but like they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so I just think that like there's going to be a lot more focus on like what can these coaches do next, and like how do they.
Right.
Like Dabo's got to win this year. Like Sweeney has to win this year. Like I don't think he's going to lose his job, but like he's losing a lot of respect.
Yeah.
I mean, James Franklin has to beat Ohio State this year. There is no.
He's got to win something. He's got to get in. He's got to win he's got to at least win a playoff game. Like there's no. I don't think they could. I mean, again, this has always been my conversation with as long as Harbaugh was at Michigan too. Who are you going to get that's better than the guy that's already there? Like Michigan was never going to do better than Jim Harbaugh. As much as they hated Jim Harbaugh and people hated Jim Harbaugh, and he never beat Ohio State until he beat Ohio State. They never you're not going to do better than Jim Harbaugh. You're just not. Like I don't know if Penn State's going to get better than James Franklin. He loses 2 games a year. They happen to be the biggest games of the year, but he loses 2 games a year.
Maybe go get John Gruden.
I mean, it's Penn State. They've had worse. I mean,
that's true.
There's only one way to go from there. It's up.
That is true. All right. Well, thank you. You've completely gone way over time. I apologize for keeping you here longer than you
this
should
was
have,
fun, guys. I appreciate
so much
it.
fun.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Before you leave, Adam, I know you have a Saudi Arabian background and an Egyptian background. My wife is Egyptian, so I had to know these 3 dishes in order: khabsa, murkhia, and then kushari.
Okay. I didn't hear the first one. What was the first one?
The Saudi dish, it's like the
okay, yeah. It's just there was lag. I didn't hear it. Okay.
Oh, no worries.
I will go Molochi at third, Hepseth second, and I mean Kushner's first. Like that's
Damn,
I mean a good
third?
yeah, Molochi. I'm not a fan. I've never been. Like that might be the half white in me, but like I can't I can't do that. I don't know. I've just never liked it. That's just me. Yeah,
Really?
but like yeah, no, but a good cushiony is like, oh, that hits. Like that just
It's pretty
hits.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you
you
so
guys.
much, Adam. Yep.
All
We'll see
right.
you. We'll maybe have you on later in the season
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
catch up
Take
on
it easy,
all
guys.
these takes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right, bye guys.
Bye. All right. We want to thank Adam Abdalla for joining the show. For Wase, I'm Nadeem. We'll see you guys next time on Into the Wild.